Hello gamers, today I am back in the Cars 1 video game universe checking out the second game in the series, that being the Maida National Championship, a continuation of the last game taking place right after Lightning McQueen had won the Piston Cup. And after winning the Piston Cup, McQueen is moving into his new racing HQ in Radiator Springs, with the game taking place around the construction of Lightning's new HQ and racetrack. Whilst the track is being built, Radiator Springs hosts a racing series which Maida had dubbed the Maida National. A series of races that take place all around Radiator Springs and the surrounding areas, with some new additions to the town, including an airport. It is, however, not just the airport that is new, but there are a bunch of new caves and abandoned mine shafts around the area that you now get to race through, which would have been pretty cool and a new experience if, whenever I went in those caves, I wasn't getting completely blinded by the sun glitching through the rocks. Now, I don't know if this was just an error with the version of the game I was playing or if it had always been like this, but let's just say I very much hope not, as I could not see anything to the point where I was crashing into walls and losing races because of it. On the topic, however, of losing races, that is a perfect segue to talk about the changes between this game and the first game as it relates back to difficulties. As one of the biggest issues I had with the first game is that it was extremely easy. The first game was just way too easy, apart from the champion difficulty that I didn't even know about as I started playing it, as apparently it's a hidden Easter egg sort of thing. Maida National, however, has much more difficulties to choose from, including the champion one right out the bat without having to change profile names or anything like that, which made the game a lot more challenging, apart from the fact that there was a fair amount of shortcuts littered throughout the map that you could cut like almost half the track. Like in the newly added airport section, there is a ramp that allows you to skip about 5 corners and gain over 15 seconds on your opponents. And talking about the opponents, there are a bunch of returning and new cars for McQueen to race against, including a rally car with a bunch of extra headlights, a Ferrari, and a British touring car that I think ends up in a relationship with Maida by the end of the game, which is, I guess, pretty cool.
You know, I win a lot of races back home, but I never thought I'd have such sensational competition over here.
Ah, nobody can beat you in a race.
You just won, Mater. I was referring to you. Why, you are modest. I'm sure your fans love that about you.
Fans? Shoot, I ain't got no fans. Well, unless you count the sheriff, but he has to come watch me for legal reasons.
I see. Well, it's a shame I've yet to see your wonderful town. Would you give me a tour?
Sure I will. I don't mean to brag, but I know all the best gas stations here in town.
Really?
Oh yeah, there's Flo's V8 Cafe, and we got, well, that's really the only gas station actually, but it's good.
Oh, and one last thing I quickly also wanted to mention in the changes category is that of the mini-map, which in this game is much more of a map, which is also very helpful in finding your way around. And also in this game, the pause menu, if you pause the game, it tells you the best place to go for the next race, which helps a lot, as in the last game, sometimes I'd spend 10 minutes driving around trying to find that one race I needed to do to get to the next stadium race. However, with the addition of telling you where to go, this game did seem a fair amount shorter to beat. And according to How Long to Beat the Game, this game is an hour shorter than its previous counterpart. However, it still just seems like a lot less happens throughout the game. So, in this game's shorter runtime, what happens in the story apart from the aforementioned building of Lightning McQueen's HQ and racetrack? Well, there are 3 segments, as I'm going to call them, which you go to the 3 separate areas of the map and take part in a bunch of races and side activities. including one side activity where you play as Mike from Monsters Inc. and race against Sully whilst collecting points in a sort of collection soccer-esque game, I guess, which was, well, I would describe it as different. Other side activities being the return of tractor tipping with its odd controlling mechanisms that I mentioned in the first video, and a side activity where you're collecting car parts to turn both McQueen and Mater into a monster truck. Apart from the side activities, it's just doing races until you unlock enough banner points or point-like things to proceed to the next big race, which always takes part at the Radiator Springs circuit in its various states of construction throughout the game. Each race having its own quote-unquote villain for McQueen to race against, these three being a JDM-like tuner car, an off-road rally car with the mentioned extra headlights, and the Ferrari that McQueen races in the final race once the stadium is completed. And after the final race, Luigi sets up another final race as he felt that the Ferrari was not given a fair chance.
Great race, Giovanni.
Yes. Someday we will have to try that again, eh?
Yes, again! You must race again.
But you saw Lightning. He won.
The sun was in your eyes. You were distracted by thoughts of home. Look, all of your tires, they're almost flat. It is a tragedy from which I will never recover.
I guess we race again.
For Luigi, sure, it's the least we could do. What do you say we make it a little more interesting? You and two of your friends against me and two of mine. Home team versus away. Okay?
Okay, for Luigi.
That's right. We're nothing without our fans.
So we take part in a relay race to end the game off, which is another new race concept to this game, I believe. It's basically a normal race, but each lap you change the car you are racing as, e.g. McQueen to Doc to Mater, which was a little fun addition to some races and lets you play as some classic cars from the Cars series. I just wish for the final relay race that maybe let you pick who would be on your team, or maybe even the cars that you beat in the previous segments would join your team to help you beat the other racers. But that's fine. I'm sure everyone wanted to play as Mater and Doc and McQueen anyway, so I don't really blame them for that one. So at the end, what is my takeaway on the Cars Mater National Championship? Well, it does make some improvements on the previous game, but to be honest, not all of those improvements put it above the nostalgia factor of the first game for me. And also it does have some notable worse additions in my eyes compared to the first game, that mainly being the story. For me, the story of a circuit being built doesn't have the same sort of drive as trying to win a Piston Cup or a championship. And there's never a awards ceremony that I saw for the Mater National. It just ends with you taking your picture outside of McQueen's new headquarters. And the Ferrari car wasn't there enough to be a sort of main antagonistic force. And he also just wasn't antagonistic to the point where I don't even remember his name. And it's not like in the first game where you got to do battle with the one and only Chick Hicks. So at this point, I would still probably play the first installment in this series over this one, even if it is a little bit more harder, which is what I want. I did want the extra difficulty from the first one, but maybe the championship mode gives me that. However, who knows if I will still think of the first one as the best one after I get done playing Race-O-Rama. Well, the only way you could know is to subscribe and find out when I finally post that Race-O-Rama video. So stick around and find out, or don't, it's up to you.
Mater National with a great finish, and look what we found waiting for us, our new clubhouse.
Mater, it's not really a clubhouse, it's the headquarters for all of our professional racing operations. Okay, It's a clubhouse.
New stadium, new headquarters. You're going to be very busy here.
Yeah. I think we're gonna need a bigger town.
I wouldn't change a thing. Lightning, it was a very enjoyable week, and I hope we can repay your hospitality and host you and your friends in the European circuit one day.
Absolutely. We'll take this show on the road.
We're going to Europe? And just where exactly is that again?
It's just over the pond.
Pond? Oh, dang, I can't swim.
Everybody, it's time for the end of a festival picture. Guido, are you ready?
Okay. Okay, ready? Everyone say...
Everybody say, "Hoo, boy!"